The current state of the United States government is Donald Trump just does whatever he wants. And that's okay. He's the president, but he increasingly trusts his instincts. He's gotten rid of some aides who he thinks are excessively cautious or don't agree with what he wants to do. And the media reaction to much of this, because there is a certain zigzag quality now to following the president, it makes him hard to cover, by the way, is that this is kind of insane and it's no way to run a government. So let's first review, because I have a contrarian view. May not prove to be true, in which case we can just get rid of this videotape. Just this week on DACA. DACA is dead, the president tweeted, despite the efforts by his White House and Congress to reach some kind of deal or compromise on immigration. Then we have Vladimir Putin. Suddenly word comes out, the Russians actually leaked it, that the president had invited Putin to visit the White House. That hasn't been set up yet. Of course, the Kim Jong-un visit, also dramatically announced by the president, didn't even tell Rex Tillerson, and then got rid of Rex Tillerson, is another example. In Syria, the other day when he was at the news conference with the Baltic leaders, the president said he wants to pull out U.S. troops, to withdraw from Syria. This sent shockwaves around the world. There was a meeting with Defense Secretary Mattis and others, and they kind of walked it back. Well, he's not going to do any withdrawal for now. And then finally, the tariffs. Gary Cohn didn't like that idea. Gary Cohn is now gone. China retaliated. The stock market tanked on a couple of days. Suddenly, Larry Kudlow, the new chief economic advisor, by way of CNBC, comes out and says, well, you know, this is just a proposal. It's just the first step. They haven't taken effect yet. We have to have a comment period. And so this made me think, if you look at what the president is doing, the way it usually works is that you have meetings, interagency, and memos, and then finally you come up with a position and you announce it. Trump just announces what he thinks he ought to do, and then he lets everyone else react, whether they're on his side or on the other side. But often what's packaged as a final decision is anything but. So he announces the Syria move, but he's not going to do it for now. He announces the DACA move. It's not immediately taking effect. He announces tariffs. It hasn't quite taken effect. Maybe it will never take effect. Maybe there'll be a negotiated settlement. He forces everyone to negotiate on his turf by saying he's going to do something dramatic. Now, this does create sort of an erratic appearance. His aides often have to scramble to either change his mind or just catch up with his thinking on that. But on the other hand, Trump is frustrated. He's very frustrated by the slow pace of government. The bureaucracy moves very slowly. President, who's obviously did this as a businessman, where he would just take a position and it was step 1 or step 9 in a negotiation, is trying to sort of break that concrete. Now, just to give you an example of how the media are treating this, chaos is a word you hear quite a bit. Axios' Mike Allen has a piece saying checks are being ignored, meaning like checks and balances, or have been eliminated, critics purged, as the president is filling time by watching Fox, eating dinner with people who feed his ego and conspiracy theories, and who drink in his rants. He's had a series of dinners with people who he likes, a couple from Fox, many from the business world. Mike Allen goes on to say Trump's closest confidants speak with an unusual level of concern, even alarm, and admit to being confused about what the president will do next and why. I have no doubt that that's true. It must be very hard to work for Donald Trump. You have meetings, you think that the options are under consideration, suddenly there's a tweet, and he appears to have made a decision. Or you're the press secretary, you have to go out and defend something or explain something that's just happened without any consultation. This is a very different presidential style than Washington is used to. It does make for a lot of scrambling. It does make also for a lot of dramatic headlines, which the president undoubtedly likes. But then it seems like often, not always, but often, it is just the first step as everybody scrambles to adjust to what the president wants. And then if he gives a little ground, he's still seen as sort of mostly getting his way. Well, that may or may not pan out. But I think the media, the political world, and even the people who work for him, or still work for him, I should say, are still getting used to this style. In the end, it may just be that it creates lots of chaos, but it has a way of forcing the issue. And that, I think, is the side that's not totally being covered.